So in this particular case, to get the balance sheet to balance, we are going to let long-term debt be our plug such that we'll take out long-term debt to get this to balance for next year. So in order to get that to work, we're going to have to enable iterative calculation. Okay, so let me demonstrate for you, for example, if we didn't do that. So if I just said, okay, the long-term debt is equal to this plus the deficit and hit enter, you're going to see it's going to try to run it, and it doesn't really work out very well. It just zeroes out. So let me undo that. So we're going to need to enable that calculation. So we're going to go to File, go to Options, and with respect to formulas, we're going to enable iterative calculation, and we're going to keep the 100 and 0.001. That's fine. Note, this is kind of a measure of last resort. We typically don't like to have cells reference each other. That can cause some potential issues. But in order to get this to balance, we have to do that for this particular case, using this particular methodology. So now that we've enabled it, now we're going to do a couple of different things. So we need to change both the pro forma income statement and balance sheet. Going back to the pro forma income statement for just a moment, what we're going to do in cell A21, we're going to add an interest rate. So in A21, we're going to have an interest rate, and this interest rate will then be 11.70%. That's in cell B21. This is going to give us a total interest expense. So now in B12, we're going to calculate the interest expense, and it will be equal to B21 multiplied by parentheses, the balance sheet short-term notes payable, plus the balance sheet B18, the long-term debt. So it's the same as it was before, but now this will help with the referencing. On the pro forma balance sheet, we're going to add the self-referential formula. So we want long-term debt to increase by the amount of the discretionary funds needed in B25, and eventually we want that to equal 0. So let's try this. If we just said long-term debt is equal to B25, you'll see that that doesn't yield the correct result. Okay. So we can't just do that. So that because this causes debt to grow and the discretionary funds needed to shrink, that then causes debt to shrink and the discretionary funds needed to grow, it's never going to converge. So in order for it to converge, what we're going to need to do is change this to be equal to itself. So type in B18 plus B25. So this is why we do the iterative calculations. And actually, I'm in the wrong cell. So let me undo where I'm at. My apologies. So I'm going to undo that. So in cell B18, this will be now, instead of just B25, we'll type in plus B18. And now you can see, because of the iterative functionality that we've added, now the long-term debt converges. And now, even though it still says deficit, it's actually balanced. Okay. So a couple of things here. So in A31, we're going to note whether or not iteration is turned on. So iteration, and then in cell B31, we're going to hit 0. So now going back to cell B18, we're going to, B18, we're going to change this to be an if statement to ensure that if iteration is on, then this is going to run. If not, then it won't. So this will be equal to if B31 equal 1, comma, then we'll do this calculation. Otherwise, it's just going to reference C18. So it's actually going to revert back to what it was before when we had the deficit. But if I change this to 1, then it will fix it. Okay. So then the last step is in C31, we're going to type the following function. So equal if B31 equal 1, then that means iteration is on, quotes, and then if it's not, obviously nothing, so we'll just do quote space quote in the parentheses, and you can see now iteration is on. If I type in 0, it's off, nothing's there. Go back to typing in 1, and now we've got a spreadsheet where we can turn that on and off in terms of our plug to get this to balance.